Top of the morning folks, today from the Reddit Rainforest. What is the most inappropriate or too much information thing a coworker has ever said to you? Last week we were at a meeting discussing strategies to reel in new clientele for our product. Billboard company. Our GM said something about with these low cost, low rent boards we'll be targeting a whole new demographic. A coworker interrupts and says, verbatim, white power, I mean white people, I mean white collar, I mean blue collar. On a particularly slow day, the president of the company I used to work for called everyone in the office, including two conservative middle-aged females, into his office to see something. Something turned out to be a video of a woman being fisted. He thought it was hilarious. My balls smell really awful after a good day at work. One of my coworkers. After a good day at work. A coworker, a mid-30s mother, once asked me when I lost my virginity. She then used this as a segue into telling me how her son's girlfriend's father asked her son why he was unable to make his daughter come. I had no idea how to react to this. Seriously, what the hell? I'd say that family is a little too close. I was telling a coworker how it was a pain in the ass this morning to get a parking space in the municipal lot. She said, yeah, you think that's bad? I had cum shot up my nose this morning. I was a manager at Walmart during college, and one of my cashiers walks up to me carrying a plastic bag. She says I threw up, and then opens the bag to show me the throw up inside. What the duck, I would have believed you without proof. You do work at Walmart, and from what I hear, most managers would have required proof. Some probably would have asked for DNA analyses on said proof. Two females coworkers. A male coworker and I went for a few drinks after work. One of them started saying how she's got a crush on such and such guy at work, blah blah. All of a sudden one of the other girls flat out blurted out how she wanted this dude inside her till she can feel him on the back of her throat, and how it reminded her of one of her one night stands when they tried anal, but the dude's cock was too big, so the only place he could fit was her mouth. Everyone at the table just flat out froze, and my beer came straight out of my nose. I forgot to mention that this lady friend looks like your typical nerdy, skinny office girl with glasses. They let the blacks work here now. Some guy I'd never met who was supposed to be the office clown. Never got to find out too much more about him as he was fired for sexual harassment a couple of days later. Are you black? The one and only Blackie_Mick Blackerson. In high school I worked with this really hot girl that hit on me, but I was too dumb to realize it. I was a nerd growing up, so I assumed any kind of flirting was just part of some sick joke to duck with me. One day she was late coming back from her 10-minute break, and I was busy with a long line of customers. She walks up to me and says, sorry and late. I was busy. Then she stick her two fingers under my nose. I flinched and gave her the what the duck are you doing look. Her finger smelled really weird. It took years before I finally got to third base W/a girlfriend and immediately learned what that smell was. That story is awesome and horrible at the same time. Awesome cause you had a chance with her. Horrible because it went under your nose. Years ago in Atlanta there was a jumper on a highway sign that caused a bad traffic backup in the morning. I'm a supervisor in an office, and an employee got stuck in that traffic. We were pretty liberal about being late and stuff, so this employee is late. No one really asks why or really cares. Well, she comes up to me, just kind of matter-of-factly explains what happens to her that morning. She says, oh my god. I was stuck in that traffic from that jumper. Before I left the house this morning I took 2 X-laxes, and oh my god I had to malarkey. I had to pull over my car. I ran into the woods and had to climb a barbed wire fence and malarkey behind a tree. I wiped my ass with leaves. I was friendly with this person, but not that friendly. Who the duck takes X-laxes in the morning before going to work? I think she had it timed out so they would kick in when she arrived at work and get paid to malarkey. A coworker once told me that I was rather attractive and then went on to ask if I would ever consider making a filther with him and his friends. I politely declined and went back to my lunch. A girl I barely knew once told me a story about how, when she and her boyfriend first hooked up, she put a hot dog in her underpants to see his reaction when he got down there. What was his reaction? He was surprised. They eventually got married, so I guess he was not too put off. Maybe he was into stuff like that. I got it on with my husband before work. Now his DNA would not stop dripping down my leg. This is why one must wear panties after getting jizzed in. Stuff can leak for hours afterwards. Also, panty liners are your friends. My friend started working at Tim Hortons. He was on his first shift and getting acquainted with his co-workers. He then began to work, and another worker came up to him, and the first thing he said to him was, "Have you ever had bad sex?" The worker then proceeded to show him pictures of his girlfriend's tits. Just before Christmas, my co-worker asked me during lunch what reverse cowgirl was. I almost choked on my burger. We're a close-knit group. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Edit for clarification. I'm a girl and has a married man. A very cute girl told me she had laid out in the sun with her legs open like a frog and had sunburn on the insides of her thighs. As an 18-year-old kid, I totally whiffed that softball. A fellow instructor asked me if I could touch my elbows together behind my back. I convinced 3 female employees that if you tilt your head back and pretend to shake a salt shaker into your mouth, your mind tricks you into tasting salt. Come to think of it, I'm pretty sure I'm the offensive and TMI person around here. That girl can take it up the ass without lube. This was TMI for coworkers. After my first 2 years of college, I failed out. I moved back to my hometown and got a malarkey job in a factory. I was only 20, and most of the other employees were much older. The factory produced heavy-duty switchboards. Once I wandered out of my area and into a metal working section. As I passed by, this horrendous-looking old woman with short hair, looked about 70, was probably a 55-year-old old Charlotte, think Napoleon Dynamite's grandma, and she was wearing some kind of nasty matted slippers. She turns to me and yells, in this Al Pacino voice, "Hey there honey, you ever had it with a real woman?" My tongue became paralyzed with shock, and I just ran away. As I did, I heard her laughing HAAA and say something like, "It do not get no better than this." This was all the motivation I needed to get my ass back in college. Somebody at work told me about his girlfriend, now wife, cheated on him with his brother. He then told me that when he found out, they double teamed her. I work as a host in a fancy restaurant. Usually I'm paired up with a hostess. And yeah, I'd be surprised how willing a woman will be to divulge all sorts of personal information to anybody that they spend more than 4 hours a day with. One hostess once told me she had the diarrhea in her first day working. Another told me that the bartender she's dating has a small Johnson, and that she uses hair conditioner as lube for ass ducking. Another that her boyfriend is extremely sexually unsatisfying. I mean, it's some malarkey. The best though had to be a hostess that let me know right from the get-go that she did not do anything related to staplers because she was scared malarkey-less of them. She was also sexually unhappy and let her man jizz on her face regularly because, and I quote, "It just makes him happy to do that malarkey, so I just let him. Even though it's weird when he does it in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping and I wake up in the morning like, what the fuck?" I stayed silent waiting for her to break a smile because it was a joke. It was no joke. A coworker once told me that she was going to have an abortion with her first child, but her friends convinced her not to go through with it. This was the first conversation I ever had with her on my first day of work at my current job. Who does not use an almost abortion as an icebreaker? Just my first clue in the amount of crazy I would encounter from her. I spent some time in Afghanistan, and it being a complete malarkey hole, there are very few entertainment options available. We had a team leader in my squad that was a little older. Most of the other TLs were in their mid-20s. He was mid-30s, who was always the one to go there with the over-the-top sexual descriptions. We were prepping our trucks for a patrol one fine afternoon when, out of sheer boredom, I announced to the rest of my team, "I bet $20 I can get Sergeant, redacted, to admit that has licked a girl's ass." With the money safely handed off to a third party, we waited for him to wander over to his truck. I loudly threw out a question to everyone in the vicinity to avoid a situation where I was accused of leading the witness. "Hey, have any of you guys ever licked a girl's asshole?" I really cannot describe the look Sergeant, redacted, gave upon hearing this question, but the closest I can compare it to would be a small child seeing the tree on Christmas morning. "Oh, hell yes ... he exclaimed. The rest of the story ISN not suited for polite company, but I will say that his description of what he and his wife do ended with the phrase "ain't not nothing like some bathtub butt." The funniest and most TMI thing I have ever heard at work had to be a guy coming back from the washroom saying, "What a brutal malarkey." You know, the kind of malarkey where you have to look behind after to make sure there is nothing you need to pack in ice and take to the hospital? Yeah, that kind of malarkey. That's about the hardest I ever laughed. One of the girls I work with once told me I do not get girls who do not swallow. I mean, you have put all that work in. You might as well. It's like ... Your reward definitely a keeper. 2 weeks after starting my last job, my coworker told me the following. She was a dominatrix. She was dating a MTF transsexual submissive. Her sub loved to be pissed and malarkey on. They loved to eat the malarkey. She loved to give roadhead. She was a cat trapped in a human body. She meowed. If you are reading this, you made it until the end of the video. Click the thumbs up button, since you made it until the end. Bam. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else, or watch more videos. That's about it. There is no more here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? Okay. This is not a secret, but subscribe for more videos like this.